Hello. As promised, today's lesson is going to be about marine spirits. I don't know if you've ever heard of marine spirits. A lot of people have not heard of them. I recently just learned about marine spirits early part of this year, actually. And when I did, it was kind of like mind-blowing because it really put everything into perspective. So I do have some notes, so if I'm looking down a lot, it's because I'm looking down at my notes, and I just want to make sure that I'm getting everything. So please bear with me. This video on the lengthier side. So if you have to pause it and take breaks or whatever, I'm not really sure how long it's going to be, but I just want to make sure that I cover everything, so that everyone can be informed about what's going on in your lives. A lot of times we'll have marine spirits, we'll have things going on in our lives, and we won't understand what. And we'll see all these spiritual attacks in our lives, and we'll pray and we'll pray and we'll pray, but we're praying against the wrong thing because we think it's one thing over here, but really it's something completely different. And if you're praying for the wrong thing, you're not really solving the problem. Okay, so it's important to be able to identify your enemy, identify the spiritual attack. That way you can get to the source and pray against that thing. You know what I mean? If you have a problem with drinking alcohol, you're not going to pray against, a lying spirit, because that's not the thing you struggle with. You want to pray against the thing that you're struggling with. So I'll just kind of dive right into this. It might be a little bit all over the place, but I'll try to keep it together. So for marine spirits are just unclean spirits that reside in or near water, like lakes and rivers and oceans and seas. Any large body of water, that's where you can find marine spirits. And again, there are all kinds of spirits. There are spirits that dwell on land that like dry places, and there are spirits that like water. Satan is called the prince of the air. So he is the prince of the air. He's always going to and fro in our atmosphere, wreaking havoc and causing sin. So unclean spirits, if you ever read the book of Enoch, you will learn about the origin of unclean spirits. So we know how Satan fell from heaven and he took a third of angels with him. Okay, but there was also a second fall of angels, the Watchers. And again, read the book of Enoch and you'll read all about it. The Watchers, who were angels who were appointed to watch over mankind, they were watching from heaven, and they saw how beautiful women were, earthly women. And they decided, they conspired together and said, we want wives as well. We want children. So they left heaven and they began to have sex with the human wives. And so they married them and they had children. They went to Enoch and they asked God to, kind of forgive them and to kind of, spare their children. But, God was angry and he said no, naturally. So he turned the women who had committed this sin with the angels, he turned those women into sirens. So if we've heard the word sirens before, in the Greek mythology, I believe it's Greek mythology, sirens are kind of like these underwater, creatures, female creatures that sing and lure men in with their voices. So sirens are real. They're in the Bible. They're in the book of Enoch. And the children of these women and these fallen angels are called unclean spirits. That's the name he gave them. So these Watchers were not only fornicating, with these women, but they were fornicating with all things, with trees and with plants and with insects and animals and all kinds of things. So with fish, things in the sea. So when you see things like fairies and mermaids, these are all hybrids. These are all like Nephilims. These are all giants. These are all hybrids. Okay, they're all from unclean spirits, and these are their children. So mermaids, if you remember The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen, the original version of it, not the Disney version, the original version of it was a mermaid, who wanted to the prince. And so she went to a sea witch and she made a deal with the sea witch. And the deal was she had to get this prince to fall in love with her within a certain amount of time. I think it was like 3 days or whatever. And she didn't. And she ended up killing herself. That was the real story. No, I bummed it up, but that's the real version of The Little Mermaid. Naturally, Disney came and made it kid-friendly. But mermaids are just hybrids of half human, half fish. Okay? And that's what these watchers made. You know, you see fairies, they kind of look like half human, half insects, right? So these creatures, these Nephilim, these giants, these are just unclean spirits in the physical form. So what happened was the Most High took away their physical forms, and they were just spirits. Now, spirits like to have bodies. They like physical bodies because, you know, without a body, they can't really do anything. You know what I mean? So, and we have bodies. You know, this is my body, but it's not who I am. My spirit is inside of this body. You know, you could take my spirit and put it in a different body. It would still be me. You understand what I'm saying? So, these unclean spirits did not have a body, and they were just roaming the earth, okay, with looking for a body. How people get possessed, because these spirits are looking for bodies, so they will find a body that's willing, that's open, and they will jump into those bodies, and they will possess them for a time. And that's how in the Bible you would always see Yeshua casting out unclean spirits. But he was always able to identify them, you know, because if you don't know what or who you're casting out, how then can you cast it out? You know, the story of the blind man, or of the man that was mute. He cast out a deaf and dumb spirit. So he called it by its name and commanded it to leave because he had that authority. So again, back to marine spirits. Marine spirits act as husband and wives. They act as spiritual husbands and spiritual wives. So what that means is you can be spiritually married and not know it. You can be spiritually married to a husband or a wife or an unclean spirit, and they feel as if they have total and complete control over your life. And that means when they are married to you, that means that they will not allow you to be married to anybody else. And they have a healthy marriage. So the two main marine spirits will be called Incubus and Succubus. So maybe you've heard of them, maybe not, but excuse me, a little burpy. Incubus is the male version. An incubus comes to women in their sleep and has sex with them in their sleep. That's the initiation, that's the ownership, that's how they claim you. The female version, the female demon, is called Succubus. And that's the female version, and she comes to men in their sleep. If you've ever, and this has happened to me too, and for years I had no idea what was happening to me, but if you've ever been asleep and you felt like you were just, like you just had sex, or you felt like, I don't know how to explain it. You've ever had a dream where you were having sex with someone that you know, or someone that you don't know. You woke up and you're like, whoa, I just had a dream that I had sex, or you committed some type of sexual act in your sleep. That's an incubus or a succubus demon. That's a marine spirit. And if it happens over and over, that's them having sex with you in your sleep in the spirit realm. And they're taking ownership of your body because they feel like you belong to them. And when that happens, in the spirit realm, they're making you, in the physical realm, unattractive to other men and women. So you could be extremely beautiful or extremely handsome, and you're wondering why you can't get a man, or why you can't get a woman, or why all your relationships fail, why you can't seem to get married. It's because you have a spiritual husband and a spirit wife that you need to divorce. Now, I'm going to get down to that one second. Hold on. Now, again, like I said, unclean spirits, you can read about that in the book of Enoch, and I will put all of that down in the comment description box below. So we talked about mermaids and how mermaids are hybrids of the fallen angels and of the watchers. In the Bible, the Philistines worshiped a god called Dagon. Now, if you do your research on Dagon, Dagon was a mermaid. Or a merman, rather. He was half man, half fish. And the Philistine gods, or the Philistine people, were God. They prayed to him. They devoted everything to him. And he was an unclean spirit. He was a marine spirit because, again, he dwelled in water. That's a marine spirit. You can read about Dagon in Joshua 19 and 27, and Judges 16 and 23, and 2 Kings chapter 2 verse 19 through 21. And again, so that's more about Dagon. The marine spirit or marine agents, they have different names depending on where you are. The most common name is Queen of the Coast. Okay, Queen. That's a very important name. You want to write that down. Queen of the Coast is the head of the marine kingdom. Now, there is a marine kingdom. The marine kingdom functions like any kingdom on earth, like on land. There's the queen. She's in charge. She gives the orders. She gives the assignments. And then she has her agents called marine agents. And they go out, with the assignment that she gives them. And they are assigned to certain people, certain cities, certain locations. And they will take control of that area. You may have heard the Queen of the Coast called Mommy Waters. In some parts of Africa, they call her Mommy Waters, okay, or Ma-Jinn. Different names, but just do your research, and you will put the pieces together and see that, okay, this is the marine spirit. This is what we're dealing with. Okay, so it's important to know who you're dealing with and what you're dealing with. Queen of the Coast, that's important. So see that over and over again. Now, marine spirits there's a lot to it. People use marine spirits for wealth. Mermaids are representing wealth. So, if you remember The Little Mermaid, the Disney version, Ariel had 6 sisters. There were 7 of them. And her father was King Triton. He was a rich. He was the king, And what was it that Ariel loved to do? Okay, notice Ariel loved treasures. She had a whole secret room with different treasures that she would find and collect. Okay, she would go treasure hunting, and to us they were like normal things, but for her they were treasures. Mermaids represent wealth and treasure. So when you're having dreams about mermaids and things like your finances are bad, if you're struggling and you're working hard and you're just having a lot of financial issues, you're dealing with a mermaid spirit, which is part of the marine spirit. Okay, mermaids represent finances. So if you're having dreams like you're swimming, dreams that you're underwater, or dreams that you're having sex with, like I said, unknown people or people that you know, but people that you're not in a relationship with, it's one thing to have a dream that you're having sex with your husband or whatever, but if you're having these uncontrollable sexual dreams, that's a marine spirit. If you masturbate, that's a marine spirit. If you have no control over your sexual urges, that's a marine spirit. If you have a lot of failed marriages and failed relationships, those are all signs of marine spirits. If you are very seductive and sexual, desire to break up marriages, you desire to be with men or women who are already in relationships, you're dealing with a marine spirit. If you're, like I said, money problems is a marine spirit, but also the cankerworm. And I'll get back to that if I remember, but I'll get back to that in a second. You can identify marine spirits in people by certain behaviors. So usually the marine spirit loves fashion. They love high fashion. They love money. They love expensive things. They love wealth. So when you see men who deal with marine spirits, again, they always come wearing, like nice clothes that are going to be same thing with women who deal with marine spirits. Some people say that marine spirits only or mostly go after women, but spirits can go after both men and women. But we'll let you do your own research on that. But some behaviors you can notice with people who have marine spirits, and again, there's two types of people with marine spirits. There are those that are conscious and those who are unconscious. So those who consciously have a marine spirit, they know they have the marine spirit. They are willing and they are open to it, and they use it and they want it there. And there are those that do not know that they have a marine spirit and they are a victim to it. So the people who are conscious marine agents, who are willing and desiring to be marine agents, you can notice certain behaviors. Those people tend to be very sexual. They tend to desire the best clothes, nice clothes. And they tend to have bipolar behaviors. So if you've ever been in a relationship so I'll use myself for example. I dated a guy, and this is years ago, and I had no idea what marine spirits were. I dated a guy who liked expensive things. He loved expensive restaurants, expensive cars, expensive clothes. I mean, he loved to spend money. I'm the kind I hate spending money. I like going to the Dollar Tree because I like to save all my pennies. I got hooked up with this guy, and he had a hold on me like you wouldn't believe, okay? He was very bipolar. He would, when we were together, he would treat me good, love on me and show me off and, and do all these sweet romantic things that would keep me hooked, keep me in his grasp. And then he would just totally flip out and be a whole different person. He would, just be verbally abusive, and he would tear me down, and he would break up with me like out of nowhere, and just he was just crazy. Like, he was a crazy person. Like, he was on medication. He was in the Marines. So I know he had PTSD, but he also had a marine spirit that I was not aware of at the time. But when we would break up, all of us me back, and he would want me back, and he would miss me, and he was the sweetest guy in the world. And of course, I was young, so I would always take him back because he was the love of my life, and I couldn't live without him, and I just didn't understand why I could not let him go. It was a repetitive cycle, treat me good for berserk. He had a marine spirit, and that's a controlling spirit. He doesn't want anyone else to be with me. So if you're with the person and it's on and off, that's a marine spirit. Because that spirit feels like they control you. They own you. They don't want you with another woman. They don't want you with another man. They want you all for themselves. And if you allow it, that will continue forever. So you have to be able to identify these different spirits and people. So how do they operate? Like I said, kingdom. There's a marine kingdom, okay? And they have, different assignments and different roles. And if you notice, certain cities are located by large bodies of water. Now, a lot of pastors, believe it or not, a lot of pastors and priests and all these people, they will dedicate themselves and their church, the ground, and marine spirit. A lot of people, and what you have to do is you have to go down to a large body of water, and you have to say a certain prayer, and you have to conjure up the marine spirit. You have to do a witchcraft ceremony, basically. And these pastors, they'll go and they'll do that. And the marine spirit, they want something in exchange. They want some type of treasure. They want something in exchange. And so whatever they decide on, that pastor, he gets a mega church. So people like T.D. Creflo Dollar, all these big time mega super churches, it to Satan and the marine spirits. Okay. So the priests, the Vatican, all of that. There's no way these people have super amount of wealth from the Most High. That's not from the Most High. These are people who are doing witchcraft, and the way they keep their members witchcraft. I saw T.D. Jakes literally do witchcraft on stage in his church, and the crowd was going wild. They believed he was doing some hands over it, and he's talking about God, church, and the incense went up into his nostrils. No, they didn't go up to God's nostrils. I don't know whose nostrils they went, okay, but they didn't go up to the Most High. You lighting incense, and you in a Levite, you reciting all kinds of weird prayers. That's not okay. So a lot of times these pastors are doing witchcraft on their congregation is completely unaware of it. So another thing I want to talk about, just give me a second so I can make sure I got everything. You have to pray about familiar spirits. You have to pray about generational curses. So again, generational curses are curses that's on a particular family, from generation to generation. For my family, it's a lot of things. You can have more than one, but a common one for us is adultery. A lot of adultery in my family. A lot of adultery, and a lot of my family members are not married. Okay, so you have to examine certain patterns in your family and see what it is. So if you have a lot of alcoholism in your family, that's a generational curse. If you have a lot of drug addicts in your family, that's a generational curse. A lot of teen pregnancies, or a lot of children born out of wedlock, or fornication, or abuse, whatever it is, whatever pattern you see in family, that's a generational curse. So someone is calling me, and I cannot answer it right now, so I'm just going to ignore that. So you have to know what generational curse that you have on your family in order to pray against that. Familiar spirits. Familiar spirits are spirits that plague a family or a person that hangs around that. They stay with that family. It's kind of like a generational curse. And you can get these curses through birth. Just your family doing witchcraft, or some parents dedicate their children to Satan before they're even born. So you kind of just have to, be mindful of that and pray against that. People who have a lot of sex appeal or seduction are definitely dealing with marine spirits. People who enjoy breaking up homes, people who have bipolar tendencies are dealing with marine spirits. People who can't seem to stay in a relationship are dealing with marine spirits. So something else I want to go over. So you just have to make sure that you are not involving yourself with marine spirits, because sometimes a certain city can be dedicated to marine spirits. Okay, if you see certain cities have more crime than others, or a certain type of sin, usually that's a marine spirit that over that city. And so in order to get rid of marine spirits, you have to denounce them. You have to break all spiritual marriages. You have, like in real life, when you're married to someone, You have to divorce them. So same thing goes for the spirit realm. You have to say a special prayer. You have to pray to the Most High in the name of Yeshua. I divorce all marine spirits. I divorce all marine agents. Okay, I divorce and I break every spiritual marriage with every unclean spirit. You have to break all spiritual chains and yokes, because believe it or not, there are spiritual chains and there are spiritual yokes that keep you tied to a certain place, or keep you tied to a certain person, or keep you tied to a certain behavior. You know, you might be confused as to why you can't stop masturbating, why you can't stop cheating, why you can't stop fornicating, or whatever it is. That's a spiritual yoke or a spiritual chain. So you have to break all those chains with the blood of Yeshua. You have to bind all generational curses. You have to make sure that those curses and those familiar spirits end with you, so they don't go to your children or your grandchildren and so forth. You have to bind those curses and rebuke those the witchcraft and the generational curses and familiar spirits. You have to break all witchcraft. Any witchcraft. Again, I did another video talking about witchcraft. Witchcraft can come in any form. It can come in the form of clothes, touch. It can come through the air. It can come through astral projection. Witchcraft can come in many, many forms. It can come through music. So you have to really pray hard and bind witchcraft, okay? It's everywhere. It can come from teachers, doctors, lawyers, grocery store clerks. Witches don't look like how you think they should look. It could be, a beautiful woman can be a witch. A handsome, successful man can be a witch or a warlock. You know what I mean? So you have to pray and bind witchcraft with the blood. And you have to come against kingdom with the blood of Yeshua. You have to destroy their kingdom. You have to sin and destroy their kingdom. And you have to pray against it. And you have to just bind all their works. You have to send fire from heaven to destroy their works and to stop their plots and their plans against your life. Because these marine spirits, they've had a whole for birth maybe, or you know, just it could be a recent thing, but you have to stop it before it becomes too far and before it gets to your children and your future generations. You have to bind Incubus and Succubus spirits. You have to denounce them and rebuke them and break all soul ties, break all connections with them. You have to void and null all spiritual contracts. Believe it or not, we have all done things that has put us in contract with Satan and his workers. So we have to null contracts. Just like we void them, you have to null them in the spirit realm as well. Because you don't want to be living a life and you're in agreement with Satan, you know, because then you're not going to be blessed. And you're wondering why all these terrible things are happening. You have to bind all sexual sins. You have to bind fornication and masturbation. And lastly, you have to ask for forgiveness and you have to repent. You absolutely have to repent. If you don't apologize to the Most High, apologize to the Holy Spirit and His Son, Yeshua, you are not going to get very far. Because we've all sinned and we have to repent and admit and confess our sins in order to really be free. And you have to loose peace, and you have to loose blessing in your life. You have to loose the blood of the Most High in your life. And you have to give the Most High free reign in your life. You have to ask Him to order your footsteps and to be the light of your life. The Most High is the only one who can deliver you, who can save you. Okay? You can't do it on your own. So once you ask for forgiveness, once you change your lifestyle, and put forth a conscious effort into changing your lifestyle, you can't say, oh, y'all deliver me from fornication, and yet you're still going to the club, or yet you're still hanging out with people who like to fornicate. Okay? You can't say, oh, y'all help me not to, be an alcoholic, but yet you're still drinking alcohol. You gotta put in the work as well. You gotta put in the effort. Okay, He's only gonna help you as much as you help yourself. So, again, invite the Most High in your life. Stay prayed up. Stay in your word. Do your research on these marine spirits, on the Queen of the Coast, on marine agents. There's tons and tons of knowledge and information out there. This was a quick 30-minute video that I just had to get out there. Please share this video and this information with anyone Like I said, if you're in debt, financial problems, if you're being molested in your sleep, if you are going through horrible relationships, or you can't figure out why you're not married, you're dealing with marine spirits, and you need to deal with that because it can ruin your entire life. Okay? Once you bind the Queen of the Coast, I bind the Queen of the Coast in the name of Yeshua. I bind her agents, I bind her kingdom, I bind her work, I cancel her plans. Once you bind that, you're gonna see change. And I'm not saying overnight, I'm talking on a daily basis, okay? Once you bind every day, just whenever it's in your spirit, just bind, just pray, okay? You're gonna see change. I have seen change ever since I discovered the cankerworm and the marine spirits, and I've been binding. I've been seeing major improvement in my life. And so I just had to get this information out there to other people so they can be blessed and prosperous with me. Again, subscribe to my channel. This is a new channel. I only have a few videos out so far. I don't really care about how many followers I have. I'm just trying to get this out to whoever has an ear to hear. You know, subscribe to my page, like, share, be a blessing to someone else. Also, you can leave comments. You can follow my Instagram page, is on there as well. I do respond more quickly to my Instagram just because it's a lot easier for me. I do respond in a timely manner. I try to anyway. I do work. So again, like, share, subscribe, and just be a blessing to other people. And I hope that this was a blessing to you. If you have questions, if I forgot something, for me, this is a pretty quick video because this is such a lot more that I can say about it. But I kind of, I'm short for time. As you can tell, my phone's going off. But please write me a comment or contact me if you need, and I'm open to talk and discuss anything, any questions. Until next, shalom and be blessed.